Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga-Texas construction update video. It's been a few days since I've had a chance to fly Giga-Texas. We've had very cold weather, freezing rain, high winds. It is that time of year around Giga-Texas, so it's kind of par for the course. Hopefully we only have a few more weeks of this kind of weather before it improves. During the break, while I wasn't flying at Giga-Texas, I did get a chance to go to the Everyday Astronaut Astro Awards here in Austin. It was a great event, met a lot of outstanding people, and just the award ceremony was amazing. If you want to take a look at the video, the link is here and in the video description as well. And finally, thanks to Luca Grechiata for posting this on X. It has to do with a new type of process used for Giga Castings that will help advance the state of the art. This comes from LK Group, which is the parent of IDRA, and it's a new process that uses Thixotropic Piston Injected Magnesium materials. And some of the differences on this is that it allows for lighter structural materials, lower overall temperatures. That also helps with the cooling process of materials and reduces the wear on the dies and the machinery itself. So in addition to lighter components that could be used for vehicles or a variety of other items, it also helps to save cost. So I hope you enjoyed this short video showing that the state of the art for Giga Presses continues to develop. Well, there you have it, a few news updates and some information about Giga Casting state of the art. So let's get into the drone, let's fly around the site, and let's see how Giga-Texas looks like today. If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga-Texas. Well, good morning from Giga-Texas on a rare Thursday flight for me. I went ahead and flew today instead of tomorrow because of forecast cold and high winds tomorrow. But I'm glad I got a chance to fly today. There's a lot to see, a lot to discover. We're starting off on the west side of the highway next to the new end-of-line facility. More trenching on the east side, also on the north side. We see all those concrete vaults. Work with the electrical conduit is still underway, and they're working to prepare this north side, that kind of section that juts out towards the drone with some windows. As we look at the west side, more of the asphalt is being applied to the outbound lot, more of the trench work on the side nearest to the building. We also see for the first time some concrete curbs that have been put in right at the right-hand side of the screen next to that white truck. We also see work with the HVAC units on the side of the building with all of the ducts being installed as well, and another large section on the right-hand side of the screen getting ready for that asphalt application. So I'm going to fly up over the outbound lot, give you a good look at how this is continuing to develop, and I want to show you this material storage location, how it looks with all of the items, materials, the containers, some of the spools of wire or conduit all waiting for future installation. We see some of these kind of shiny steel vents that will eventually go onto the roof of Giga-Texas, and also the superchargers waiting for installation. Another thing I wanted to show you is this southwest corner. It looks like now the work here on the earth on the side, right-hand side of the screen, looks like maybe the grade is actually lowered somewhat. It's hard to tell, but compared to where we see all the vehicles and the gravel mix, and where they've now moved all of the contractor cars away from the parking lot on the bottom of the screen, we can see that there is a difference of elevation between the two sides of that site on the upper part of the screen. As I mentioned, they've moved all the vehicles away from this triangular parking lot. I'm not sure if that is because they have new plans for the parking lot, or maybe they're going to start using them for employees, because as we'll see on the east side, the overflow parking lots are absolutely full. The West part of the west warehouse on wheels has had all the gravel applied, and we're going to fly right over that section. Makes me wonder if we're going to see the warehouse on wheels expand into this area, possibly moving the east warehouse on wheels onto this side to free up space on the east side. So something to monitor. Here's a good view of how the outbound lot asphalt has continued to grow. It's approaching the new end-of-line facility. We see some earthwork in the left-hand side of the screen, more of the concrete vaults here waiting for installation into trenching at some point in the near future. And as we approach the south end of the end-of-line facility, we can see a lot of work being done here with that center section with some formwork rebar. It's going to have some concrete, and we can also see all of the pipes coming up out of the ground in that area. This is all for those superchargers. It'll also have a covered canopy, and the work here is continuing at a fairly brisk rate now that the winter weather has departed for at least a short period of time, and work has been able to resume. So let's take a look at how this is developing here. And also what I'm being told from sources on site is the end-of-line facility, the superchargers, and the outbound lot is absolutely critical for the continued ramp of production for both the Model Ys and Cybertrucks. So it is a priority, and that's why we're seeing so much work being done. Another big development here on this side is the start of assembling of the Prufrock tunneling device, and we'll see that here shortly. We see more of the concrete sections for the tunnel have been delivered. More equipment has been delivered here as well. We can see this crane. It has already assembled the first part of the Prufrock machine, as you can tell, and also the concrete work with the mounts for that cement liner ring have been installed as well. We also have a good idea now of why they poured that concrete section next to this excavation, and that is because it's where the crane is going to be positioned to install the Prufrock machine and all of its parts. So I'm going to fly around the site and give you a good view of how this looks today as this assembly is going on. Now, at the time that I flew and got the video, this is what was going on. The drill head of the Prufrock into that pit, the crane getting ready for operation. On the upper left, we can see that belt cassette, which is also a conveyor system that's used to remove the dirt from the tunnel as it's being bored. It is starting to be assembled on these concrete slab sections with those 3 white vehicles. And as I start turning back towards the main factory, I'm going to put up a couple of still images. Now, after I filmed this video, I noticed that a large section of the Prufrock was just arriving. So I was able to get some photos. You can see it here on the truck, that heavy lift trailer. Here's a close-in view. And later on, as I was departing the site, I saw them actually using that crane to lift this part up to start assembling it. So they are really moving quickly. The other thing I want to show you here, in addition to the belt cassette being installed, is on the left is those cement silos. They're all set up. And then I want to give you a view from this point of view of the other end of that drill head of the Prufrock and how it looks right now. They have like a orange cover on the back part. You can clearly see those mounts in the concrete that the cement ring, the liner ring will be attached, and then the rest of the Prufrock assembled through there. And then I wanted to look across the highway so you get a good view of where the boring tunnel is headed towards that south end of the main factory. So I'll pull the drone up and give you a good overall view of this side of the highway and all of the activity that is going on, not just with the boring machine being set up, but also the end-of-line facility and the work on that new outbound lot. Now crossed over the highway to the south end of the main building. I'm going to first start by looking Straight down, this is where that horizontal drilling for the HDPE pipe for that gigawatt loop has been installed. You can see the trench box. It's already been pulled underneath the road, and you can see the exit point with those red and white dividers. It's a good view of the entire south end. There's many interesting details today, but we're going to first start on the south side of River Road. You can see some trench work that is underway. You can see all of the work that has been done to do earthwork and bring in dirt and fill in this particular area. We see a excavation with concrete vaults and more of the electrical conduit, so that is underway. We see dirt being delivered and getting ready to be smoothed over this particular area. So a lot of work on the south side of the River Road right now. As we cross slightly over to the north side, taking a look at the crates with the SEDEC glass, it still looks like they are waiting for installation. And you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, the crews are working on all of those mounts and also the rack system that will hold all of those glass panes. And that looks like it's coming along pretty well. We see work on some of these columns at that angled corner with that man lift. And also more of the floor decking have been installed across this part of the structure. The crane is in operation because now the cold weather has departed and the winds have died down significantly, so it's within limits for them to be able to start using it for more steel. There has been more steel delivered at the bottom of the screen, and we see another crane being assembled. This is a great sign because this is going to help accelerate the assembly of this steel on the south end. We also see a good look at the concrete perimeter grade beam that is completed all the way around except for that corner where we see some of the formwork being put in, more steel items next to the beam, and also looks like a lot of rebar here on the left side or now in the center of the screen. And this is what they're still using to make that perimeter grade beam where that formwork is being done. And we'll come in a little bit closer. You can see that gap in the perimeter grade beam. This is where some people think that the boring tunnel will come through. See the formwork on the upper left, and in the center we see this excavation with a trench box between these two column mount footings. That's very interesting. This is close to where we may expect to see the boring tunnel coming through, so we'll have to watch and see if those are related. Now, speaking of the boring tunnel, I just want to look across the perimeter grade beam, this opening across the berm, the road, and you can see where that crane and the Prufrock is being installed. So somewhere through this particular area is where that boring tunnel is going to come through. The big question is where will it exit? And that's something I'm definitely interested to see and hopefully be able to share with you. We don't see any Cybertrucks on the west side today. We see a lot of the warehouse on wheels trailers next to those receiving doors. And I also know, and we'll see later in the video, that production is ramping back up after a pause because of the inclement weather earlier this week. So a lot of activity, a lot of employees on site, and production is definitely starting to pick up again, which is great news, especially for those waiting for the Cybertruck. Here's a good view of the entire south end, all the footings, that new crane, the steel structure, the stamping 2 extension on the left, and again, somewhere in that area with that extension on the south end is kind of where that boring tunnel is lined up. So be interesting to see if it connects all the way to that extension. Now on this southeast corner, we see this slab. There's been a lot of speculation that it may be for tanks, and I think this is a definite sign that it is for tanks. Not only can see the 4 circular places that will have the bases of the tanks, and it looks like that may be what it is, but we also see some of the panels on the center upper part of the screen, and those are going to be used to manufacture the tank skin. So very cool to see, and I'm not sure what it's for, but hopefully we'll be able to get some information about why they're putting those tanks in. As we come up onto the roof, I wanted to show you this section where the roof decking, insulation, and weatherproof membrane has been taken off. And you can see the beams that support the roof here. They're starting to build a curb around this open section. And also those ventilation ducts that we saw on the far west side material staging are probably destined to be put in this area. We see that another section of the roof decking is getting ready to be removed in the center where all the workers are standing on the left side, and on the right side we see workers removing the insulation panels that were underneath that weatherproof membrane. And you can see the weatherproof membrane has been sliced and pulled back along each of the sides. And I don't know, but I think they're going to probably recycle those insulation panels because they are moving them off to this side, and you can see them being stacked on the right-hand side of the screen. So a lot of activity with this new ventilation duct for the roof of the building. So let's take a look at the multi-level parking garage where we see a lot of activity today. Not only has this grown larger, but crews are putting those rebar mesh sections onto the roof. As you can tell, this is in anticipation of doing a concrete pour, and that is the final part of the preparation for the roof. And we're going to also see that on every single floor on the inside. You see the stairway on the left. Many people have asked, are there any elevators in the design? And the answer is absolutely there are. There's going to be several sets of elevators. It's not just the stairwells. But on the far east side, we can see those corrugated pipes being arranged on the left next to where the road is going to eventually go. More of the materials here, some of the concrete double T's, also those rebar mesh sections waiting for their turn to be installed onto the multi-level parking garage. More of the concrete items on the trailers in the middle of the screen. And it does look like there's some earthwork being done where that road will eventually be installed on the bottom of the screen. As we approach closer in, we see excavation work on the left-hand side of the screen. As I zoom in, you can see how the footings and some of the concrete work in the middle section appears. All of the forms are gone, and it looks like they are well on their way to start extending the building further to the east. And that is pretty much where the expansion is going to go now, because on the lower right you can see the staircase, also some of the elevator shafts, and this is the northern end of the building. So it has now reached its most farthest northern extent, and the rest of the work is going to be going to the east to continue to build out this building. But a very good sign of how this is progressing. The 3 cranes is really helping them to accelerate the construction of that multi-level parking garage. And that is another priority item because the number of employees here at Giga-Texas is continuing to increase as they're hiring more in. The goal is to be able to add a second line for Cybertruck production sometime by the second quarter. So that parking garage is definitely needed to be completed. The testing and calibration lot is getting a lot more Model Ys now that production is resumed. Not a lot of Cybertrucks. There are a few supercharging, and there's another one that's just rounding the roundabout, as you can tell. But not a lot either here or in the outbound lot today. The production, like I said, has been on pause for the last several days because of inclement weather, so that is starting to resume again. The east side of the building shows more of that work with the receiving doors and that concrete apron. In this section, hopefully that will be ready soon. You can get a good look with this zoom in of how that looks. And as we continue to fly towards the north, we can see this section where next to the wall of the building, the concrete and the concrete vaults and also the conduit, that's where they're doing more of the electrical wiring. You can see the spools of wire ready. And also we see 2 of those large tanks. I'm not sure if that's liquid natural gas or some other material that are in those tanks, but those arrived recently. This gives you a good view of all of the castings on the right-hand side. At the center of the screen on the right-hand side, we can see the berm work that is being done to widen that berm. And we also get a good view of all of the ducts, the ducted fans, and the ventilation system continuing to be installed on the top of the casting machine roof. As I pull away and we fly over the east parking lot, I wanted to show you how the outbound lot looked today. We see a few Cybertrucks in the middle of the screen next to that trailer. We see just some Model Ys, and this is starting to build back up as production is coming back online. Many trucks are picking up the Model Ys and taking them off-site. And then here amongst these Model Ys are 2 more Cybertrucks, and we also see 3 more next to that white trailer on the left. So this is kind of the state of production and the outbound lot as it was on Thursday morning. And another good sign of production is this overflow lot for employees. As you can tell, it is nearly overflowing itself. And again, this is why that multi-level parking garage needs to be completed quickly. They've already exceeded all of the parking that they have on the east side for the employees. So let's fly around this further east side, take a look at the factory from this vantage point. This gives you a good sense of the activity, the changes near the factory, that multi-level parking garage, the east warehouse on wheels that I think may be moving to the west side at some point, and generally how this part of the site appears. Here's a good view of the east side of the cathode plant, and also the crash test facility. In the water detention pond, we get a good view of more of the concrete work and form work for those infall and outfall channels. One on the left, one on the upper right, and then 2 in the middle for the drainage, and then the filtration system in the middle where it has some of that water and the darker color. Now, as I get closer to the wade pit, I did want to take a look at this section that has had some earthwork recently, and this is how it looks today. Definitely graded out, but I'm not sure if this is going to become a parking lot or if they're going to use this for more materials, but this different perspective gives you an idea of how this looks and what that earthwork appears like right now. So something I'll continue to watch and see what they do. The water in the wade pit is because of all of the rains that we've had. It's not because it's being used at this point in time. Next to the cell test and recycling lab, we see that new brown trailer has been delivered. So that's an interesting new change. And again, I'm not sure if that's just for contractors or if it's related with that cell testing and recycling. On the far north end, I've zoomed in so you get a good chance to see how the earthwork is progressing. The removal of those islands in that middle section continues now that all the power lines and the power poles were removed and all the trees were as well. There's additional work being done near that large field with all of the supplies, and it'll be something that on a future video I'll go back up and see what is going on. But here's a good view looking back towards the cathode plant and the main factory in the background. All of the materials, some of the dirt that's being stockpiled here, and some of the warehouse or the workshops that are up here as well. On the north end, we see another section of earthwork just north of that receiving door apron, and it looks like some pipes are sticking out. There's also been some underground steel corrugated pipe put through that area. And then speaking of excavation and pipes, we see right here in the middle of the asphalt that there's another concrete pipe. It looks like it may be a manhole cover. There's also a green pipe going to that. This is all part of that lift station, I believe. And they're putting some of the gravel down to help keep that weighted down and also drainage when it's fully covered all the way over. More excavation on the right as well. As we get closer to the chiller plant, we see some more trenching on this side at the bottom of the screen underway. We see that plastic wrap section that has been added, and we saw that being put in a few videos ago. Looks like it survived the winter weather and all the winds pretty well. Also, more of the excavation on the right-hand side of the screen, and I'll give you a good look down in here, try to get some idea of what is going on behind the plastic wrap. And I'm not sure, but it looks like there are, I don't know if they've been working on some pipes in that open section or not, but still we don't see anything filling in that section yet. As I look through the alleyway, you can see the conduit connecting the two structures in the bottom. More of the concrete has been poured here in the middle section. They're doing some trenching that has those white pipes sticking up. That's part of that water management system and corrugated pipe underneath there. We see some more of the deliveries of the wooden crates as well. And I'll go ahead and turn the drone back around and give you a good view of this portion of the site and the die shop on the left. And pay attention at the bottom of the screen, the glass has been installed on that southeast corner. except for the door that looks like it's still open, but great to see that that has been now applied as well. So progress with the die shop. So let's fly back towards the west side here where the temporary trailers and offices for Tesla are located, and take a look at the work that is going on up here near the electrical switch yards. I want to show you some of the developments here with the temporary electrical switch yard, which is the bottom center of the screen. This is being decommissioned. It is no longer in operation. You can see on the center of the screen those 4 wooden poles that was used to connect the temporary switch yard to the grid. Those have been removed. All the wires have been removed, and that switch yard is about to be removed itself. The new main permanent electrical switch yard is in full operation now and powering Giga-Texas. Unfortunately, still don't have the megapacks connected to the grid yet. Earlier this week with the winter weather would have been a perfect time, but it just wasn't done. I'm going to give you a view straight down and fly over. You can see that those disconnects are still angled away. They're not connected, so this is still not energized. But the rest of the systems here, the wiring and the installation looks complete and ready to go to me. There is some work being done on one of the transformer cabinets on the left-hand side next to the Megapack, so perhaps that's related to why. Or it could be that Tesla and ERCOT are still waiting for final permits or final inspections to be done before they will allow them to be connected. As we continue to fly back towards the north end of the building, we can see that all of the transport trucks that used to be stored here, except for just a couple, have now been moved away and are being used for new vehicle site movement from the site up to the rail yard. More work here by the utility crews in that open pit with the wires, and these will connect all the way down through this road and then to these concrete vaults on the bottom right and then along this entire berm. And while we're here, we can get a good sense of the amount of work being done to widen that berm on the left and even on the bottom of the screen. And more and more castings. Some of the casting racks have been placed here next to that dirt section as well. And some other interesting things going on here at the north end. We see that forklift on the bottom bringing another just made casting. It's a rear casting for the Cybertruck. And for some reason, they are storing them all here just on the north end of the paint shop for right now. These are rear, but they haven't been trimmed yet, and they have some of the flashing that's part of the casting process, and those will eventually be trimmed and then hopefully used for new Cybertrucks. As I zoom in here, what I want to show you is these sort of rack mounts with what looks like steel bumpers. Those are actually mounts that they put the plastic bumpers on and they use them for painting. And we can see some more between the truck and that blue water tank as well. We see more deliveries have been made here on the north end of the plastics manufacturing section. And then in the 4680, see more work. It looks like there's spools of wire covers, that orange that has been placed, some of the dumpsters with some of the materials that have been pulled out as well. I know that they're doing some work to fit out the entire inside. And as far as 4680 production, I've heard that yesterday may have been a record one-day production of the 4680s. So hopefully we'll get some word from Tesla on that soon. This section of roof with all of the bricks is the area that there's a problem with the weatherproof membrane. It is coming loose and it's going to need to be repaired. And you can see here where there's some of the ripples in the material and where it's separating from that fire break small wall. So this is a section of the roof that will stand further monitoring to see what they're going to do, but I suspect they're going to have to do some rework on that section of the roof. So otherwise, that's a good look at much of the site and the activity here today on a rare Thursday for me. As a reminder, I will not be flying on Friday because of inclement weather and high winds, but I hope that you enjoyed what we were able to see and talk about today. As always, thank you for your support. Take care.